by studying self, by knowing who you are, what you are, where you are, orientate you toward your future and the higher possibility of success in your goals. To know that you are a Moorish descent, ethnocentrically, not nationality, as Noble Drali first brought forward in his efforts to recultivate the Moors, to bring to a point of focus with history as best he could at the time, because that was about the only book around that he could probably refer to that would be made available. Stanley Lane Poole's book for the Moors in Spain was not readily available. That's the other piece of literature. Another European named C.S. Washington has done 3 volumes titled The History of the Moorish Empire from a European point of view, to emphasize the fact. He talked more about the English, the French, and the Italians than he did the Moors. The Moors were dominating Europe from approximately 700 AD to approximately 1500. What history does, according to Ivan Van Sertima, I appreciate his statement. It brings the mind to a point of collective focus. It corrects one consciousness, he said. The black man with large lips and dark skin. I just seen a very dark-skinned young lady standing by the door there, and it made me think of an incident of another young lady that I stared at in McDonald's one afternoon because she was so beautiful. I mean, her skin was just an unbelievable piece of antiquity. Really dark, and dark brown here and black there and dark, like a painting, And she didn't have the information I had while I was staring, so I'm sure I looked foolish to her and stupid, but it made her nervous. I guess it makes anybody nervous to keep staring at me. But it was a stare of admiration, which I didn't get a chance to relate to. And when you are able to find these validations of your success in the past, not just, yes, our people were slaves, because that's where high school, junior high school, 3rd, 4th grade starts out. No, we were not slaves in the past. And that's what an ancient history allows us to erase and really begin at 0 point of dealing with self-knowledge. And what our people, our ancestors accomplished is what is one thinking. J.A. has done an excellent job of that. Because he did 2 things. He corrected the European historian, and he brought forth pictographics of things ancient that, again, fit on this side of the head. And, of course, corrects the image of self in the brainstem. Very important. It's important, before you can love yourself, you have to think well of yourself. The Christian ministry is responsible for this misdirection. Love your neighbor as yourself. But he wasn't telling who self was, and was not culturally elevated. I don't want to use the word educate. We have a misconception about the idea of education. Was not culturally aware that he had the opportunity to correct this illusionary inferiority complex. Now, some of them knew who we were, because some of them were Masons, particularly the Baptists, but they were sworn not to tell, an oath they took. But the concept of ethnic identity is the chemistry, the genetics that keeps making dark skin, broad nose, thick lips, furrowed hair, wherever those genetics are. It doesn't matter if it's in England, France, Germany, Africa, Central America. It doesn't matter. It keeps making the same physiological appearance. That's ethnocentricity. That is not nationality. Yes, ma'am. If you make it short, because you're cutting me off again here. Go ahead. It's more, yeah, it's more than empty space. There's a whole something down up under the ground. Yeah, no. And Peter Thompson talked about it in his book, The Great Story. And he said that they decided to put a camera down, like they used to look inside of the bomb. And what they saw down there was a black man sitting on the base, so they put the camera outside and not the base of the bomb. That sounds very typical. Thank you for that. Now let's see if I can get back to my point of interest here. More means Lord of the Earth. Another great secret, and the concept more is found in your generic dictionary. It's been in there all this time, but when you're looking for it, look under the B, under black or more. The definition of it is not there because the dictionary does not deal with definitions. It deals with descriptives, particularly in terms of nouns. The key can be in part, when you're looking for the definitive of a word, you look at its syllables, the suffix. Then you have to go to another book to do that kind of etymological research. The author of the lexicographic piece of literature we call the American Dictionary, Noah Daniel Webster, is not the author of English Dictionary. That was Johnson in England. The English dictionary comes from England. We speak American English. They speak English for the Anglo-Saxony, English. And of course, Noah Daniel Webster was a Mason, which means he was an initiated Moor. That's what a Mason is in European text. And sworn to secrecy. And of course, part of that secrecy was not to tell the captive Moors who they were. That's how you make a slave. You disorientate his mind and her mind. And then you lower their self-esteem by calling them something other than who and what they are. One author stated that in the 40s even, they would refer to the Moors as Ethiopian. That was better than Nigra, and the rest of that stuff they start throwing at it. And what allowed black folks to divide is because they had no references of self-knowledge to counter it. Remember, in this country only, and probably the only time in human history where it was considered unlawful and illegal for a black human being to read. Okay? There's no other records in anybody's history where that has ever been done before. On the judgment of death, not flogging, not imprisonment, not taking your food for a week or day, which they did. Death. If any black person was caught reading a book, and the white boy that taught him how to read, he would get killed or get his house burned down. So we need to understand these factions that has this gap between where we came from and where we are, because we are spiritually trailing behind in cultural development. Your soul is not trailing behind. Our minds are trailing behind. And the soul can't work with ignorance, because ignorance produces fear. And ignorance and fear produces darkness. It does not produce light. So self-knowledge is the eradicator, the eraser of the darkness of self-awareness, self-knowing. That's the importance of man. Know thyself, and to thine own self be true. An axiom that the black preacher, again, has been carrying around in his book all these years and still ain't dealt with. It's amazing. I have to, when I see them on TV, I have to cut them off, because they leave so many holes, and I'll spend an hour sitting up there looking at one of them talk, and getting myself off track, because I'm not trying to gather critique. I don't need to do that anymore. The thing is to correct. We've done enough critiquing. We just spent the 60s talking about what the white boy was doing. We sit up in a lecture for 2 or 3 hours, listen to some American Negro professor this and professor that, intellectualize what was wrong with white America and the white man, and we'd applaud, and come out, and it would edge forward. Damn, we don't know nothing. We did that from, before, because there's brothers out there before 1965. That's when this configuration came that gave the inspiration for America to Awaken, that we're into self-discovery. Of course, they couldn't reach us because we wasn't interested. We were colored people and Negroes. Didn't want to offend anybody. I just want to get along and get by. That's the kind of mentality most of us walking around. And so Dr. King pulled the cork out of the bottle and said, let's protest. And all this stuff come out. You're talking about the beast coming out of the abyss. I'm getting off here. Let me stop. That's where we are right now. We're at Scorpio, the 30 degrees of Scorpio, the 8th sign of the zodiac. And astrology is the other part of the science of self. 12 different ways to know thyself is the subject title of this. It's going to be more than 12 weeks if the brother will allow it, because we really haven't gotten to the technical side here. My intent is to educate you about yourself, not to give you a technique to set up something that doesn't make any sense if you don't know what symbolism means. And astrology begins with symbolism, and it really bothers me even to this day why brothers would want to refute that. That symbology comes first, and then academia comes second. The universe depicts itself as a symbolization. We are trying to do civilization, and we're missing the point. The order of things is shown to us by the inventor of things through symbology, the language of nature. Perfect nature, what we call divine nature. That part of nature that makes God and God speaks through the language of symbolism. If you don't believe me, ask your own spirit. Your real reference point for truth. And astrology is a science that has been nurtured raised, experimented with, and developed over some enormous period of time, perhaps even longer than what some of the older, more honest historians, Albert Edward Higgins, and what's the author of where's the book at? He's writing this Potts book. See it. There's about 5 different authors that dealt with the language of the Kemetic culture, or so-called Egyptian culture. No, not Massey. You like Massey. Gerald did a fine job, but Gerald left out the pictographics. And, again, to really get to point of focus, primordial man, signs and symbols of primordial man. Churchwood, yes, Albert. Excellent book, a bit bookish, but in your future studies, certainly a good reference book as you get further into symbology and symbolism. Yes, ma'am. It comes from the ancient word sim, which means in that particular definitive, according to Yosef ben Yochanan, the author of Black Man of the Nile in Africa, the mother of Western civilization, the drawing of the representation of an image on the ground. There's a hieroglyphic for it. I don't want to try to write it, because I don't want to take up the time doing that. The ancient language of your ancestors is called now hieroglyphics, picture writing. Yosef ben Yochanan found the glyph referred to as agu, which means to scratch, scribble, or draw. That is the first form of writing. So we're talking as the original language in written form is that of pictographic language. The original language in spoken form is clickers and sounders. The Hottentot, so-called, which is not a valid term for the African, is one who mastered the art of clicks and sounds as language. Miriam Makeba holds that culturally in her music. She does clicks and sounds. That's how far back your ancestral line of culture goes. And that's going downhill. Okay? So if it's downhill, that means it must have come from uphill down in terms of the cycle of evolution. So the point of reference, again, is this high place that is still legendary and mythological Atlantis that may not be a legend very soon. Okay, let me get here now. I'm going to try to get us, because I got a lot of information, as you can see here, of references. And the first thing I want to do is we're talking about the symbological representation of these 12 signs in the body. And the interrelationship of that is that I use the scripture because this is the book that black folks believe to this day is directly from God and is the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So, okay. And most of them haven't the slightest idea what's in it. And I'm talking about most of the preachers don't. The word, as we mentioned in other lectures, and those of you that have not had opportunity to hear we talk on this subject, there's 7 videotapes available on the other 7 signs before Scorpio available. Testament, testimenti, is the Latin root of testament. Testi meaning body, menti meaning mind. Old and new. Old body, old mind. New body, new mind. Old Testament, New Testament. That's the meaning of it. It puts directly, the student of truth, directly in touch with himself. And then he goes to John chapter 10, 31 to 36 at some point in his study, which lets him know about who he is as a being. God. So write that down. I'm not going to reread that. Now, you should already have that. John 10, 31, 36. I mentioned about 4 times in these 8 weeks. Chapter 10, verses 31 to 36. I guess I'm going to stop and do this here. Because this is what... 36, yeah. Yes, you was. Because I mentioned it more than once and looked right at you. Because you told me you were a minister, so you know I was getting ready to focus some of the scripture on you. Come on in. Don't you? Hey, come on in. This is a bookstore. Come on in. Somebody will be with you in a minute. The Jews took up stones again to stone him. This is verse 31. Don't write this down. Just remember John 10, 31 to 36. Jesus answered them, I showed you many good works from the Father. For which of them are you stoning me? The Jews answered him, for a good work we do not stone you, but for blasphemy, because you being a man make yourself out to be God. And these are Negroes in the East he's talking to. We understand that the original sons of Yahudah were dark-skinned. Jesus answered them, has it not been written in your law or scripture, 2 different readings there, I said you are gods. If he called them gods to whom the word of God came, and the scriptures cannot be broken or changed. The scripture he's talking about is in Isaiah chapter 82. Psalm 82, Psalm 82, I'm so fond of Isaiah, Psalm 82. Just flick past it there. Verse 5 to 8, but read the whole little 8 verses. They do not know, nor do they understand. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, you are gods, and all of you are sons of the Most High. Nevertheless, you will die like men and fall like any one of the princes. Okay. Couldn't get it any clearer than that about that divinity, that G-O-D concept. God's name is not God. That's nature. Perfect nature is the concept that we have under what is called the Codex Inscriptus in Masonic science. The code written in is the Codex Inscriptus. That concept is right in your dictionary. Of course, it's not attached to Masonic studies or Masonic lore, but nonetheless, it's there. So let's look at this, because this is the essence of what we're talking about. We're trying to get our mind somewhere towards the realization of self, according to the divine plan. I'm going to abbreviate these quickly. G-O-D, generator, that's your brain. Operator, that's self or soul. Destroyer, that's the sacral vertebrae, where the fire, the cosmic or holy fire of God is inside this sacral vertebrae. Sacral and sacred are of the same Latin root. Sacral and sacred are of the same Latin root, which means secret. We're going to talk about the D of DOD today. Okay. Did you zoom in on this, my brother, before you go? I know you're going to make it do 500 other things. Let me get to you right now. Get a zoom in on it so they'll have it on the... Now what I'm going to do is start right in on the scriptures before I deal with a personality depicted of the 30 degrees of Scorpio, which is a water sign, and there are 3 water signs: Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. We're dealing with the 4 elements of nature when we talk about the 12 signs. And of course, each sign has a reflection that we refer to as an opposite. And the reflection of Scorpio is Taurus. That's one of the collaborations of affinity, of friendship, relationships, is finding your reflection. But it may not be by sun sign. It could also be with the fact that the person you're with or the person you care about has many planets in the same sign that is the reflection of your sign. So don't try to mate yourself with, oh, he's my sign, so I can get along. No, maybe not. Okay. But nonetheless, the polarity in terms of this line, that's a symbol of Scorpio. That's a symbol of Taurus. The polarity, the pole of this energy line, these are the extremes of this particular vibratory energy. That's what we mean by polarity. Let me jump right in here. Judges chapter, the first thing I want to say is the biblical son of Jacob, that's one of the 12 signs, 12 tribes, 12 sons of Israel, the 12 sons of Jacob that we're talking about in the Bible is Dan. Okay. And if you want to read those, Genesis chapter 49 is the first point of reference for reading all 12 of these some allegorical story forms. That's about all they are. Some of them are just little widths of information until you get the keys of what the Bible is doing in giving this depiction of these 12 personalities that are everywhere, because there are only 12 on the planet. That's all the real people there are on planet Earth, multiplied times with these degree variations, born at different times. Everybody's born within 12 months. Everybody's born on a certain day within those 12 months. Everybody's born inside this circle and square of 360 degrees. That's it. Ain't nobody down here that I know of, anyway, that's not coming down here on a sidereal time charting. True sun time is what sidereal time is, if they come through Mama. Because Mama got to stop, breathe. As soon as she stops and breathes, the planets take the picture. And your picture, as you come out, it stimulates you and Mama with that energy on that angle. Now, if a being comes from out of the solar system and down here, well, he ain't on the chart. We can't deal with him. We ain't talking about him. We talk about those that come out of Mama in 9 months in a solar system of 9 planets and a mathematical system of 9 numbers in a circle of 360 degrees, and 3 and 6 is 9. Get that little science in there. So turn to Judges chapter 18. Anybody else want to grab a Bible? I got an extra Bible here. I'm going to borrow it from you on a couple of occasions because there's a difference of reading that's the King James Version, and this is the Revised Standard Edition. We talked about that on one of the tapes, so if you want to know what that means, buy the tape. I'm not going to go over the whole lecture, but I do want to reorientate. So that's part of what I'm doing each time I talk with Black folks. Remember, we're talking symbolically. We're not talking about Dan the man. We're talking about Dan, the representation of 30 degrees, called Scorpius, which means serpent. Scorpio in the English, American, Latin, English. But Scorpius means serpent. Very key word. And again, understanding the allegorical story of astrology under the auspices of the 12 sons of Jacob, who became the 12 sons of Israel in the evolutionary process, and became the 12 disciples, and then the 12 apostles, evolving from Genesis to Revelation. The same 12 beings, the same 12 aspects, the same 360-degree circle of self-knowledge. Importantly, this book is going to be a valuable tool. I still don't see. Darn it. Y'all still didn't get any copies of the Dictionary of Myth and Religious Philosophy. This is the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. Charles Fillmore's book. Very important. I started to put that book in my. Darn it. Never mind. This one or the other one? The Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths by G.A. Gaskill, Gaskell. They'll have some copies here because I'm going to keep bugging them until they get some. They had one copy 3 weeks ago. Well, that's all right. I don't want to get on them. They're doing a good job. In appreciating biblical names, name means, the synonym for name is nature. Your name tells you about your nature. Your first name, middle name, and last name. Just as your birth data tells you about your nature, your cycle, your powers and your abilities, your talents. That's what this book is talking about in terms of why there's so many names in the book, why God has so many names. He has 99 names in the Quran, 72 names in this book of the old translation, and he has 108 names in the Bhagavad Gita. Because God has so much power, so much talent, so much ability. That's why God has so many names. Yes, sir. The American Negro so-called slave name has nothing to do with the cultural problem of black and white in America. The universe uses every and all languages to code out who you are. That's divine nature. It has nothing to do with this language being better than that language. Is the vibrations you gave her while you were in her womb according to the science of numerology. That's how you got the name. That's the pool, family pool you dove into on your birthday. That was already vibrating. And the problem is many women change their names and often disavow their own inheritance because the last name is the legacy from your family line, which is credited to your father. It doesn't matter, okay? Now, there was a cultural break. Slavery has been a devastation for black folks. I'm not going to try to pretend it wasn't. There was a cultural break. But there's no break in the universe, okay? Because master gave his slave a name, then mama turned around and gave him another name. Come here, tit. That's where all the names come from. Come here, cornbread. Another vibration. I thought one of the most remarkable and accommodating books of an appreciation of the black woman of the past, a book titled Black Rage by Cobbs and Greer, a book based on the psychological problems of black people. This was published in the mid-60s, 1968, when we didn't know we had a mind. There was no such thing as a black mind until 1968, because the white psychologists were saying we're all the same. You know? And these two gentlemen, with the assistance of Frantz Fanon, the psychoanalytical psychologist of Algiers, had written his book, and it had been translated into English finally, Black Skin, White Mask, where he's the one who espoused the psychological fact that there is a black psychology that differentiates itself from European psychology, because the black man in France and the colonized territory of Algiers had the same problem as black folks in America. The white boy over there was talking about us, talking down to us, you know, that same kind of cutting off the mirror of self-reflection that is positive, that makes people like themselves, want to do something for themselves and those who look like them. See? That's what this thing here, the brainstem, the image in the brainstem does. When you pick up your baby, you say, oh, she's cute, and she looks just like me. You know? Instead of like what you call said, which was an album at the time, Nicky Giovanni said, if you marry a man, that's one thing, but you make sure that you pray that you have a child that likes you and a child that you like. But you didn't deal with the problem of psyche. The problem is not the child. The problem is the distorted image in the mind of the individual. But we look out through something. And we look out through this image. We don't like big lips. Then we don't want no big lip kid. If we're dark skinned and the baby come out real light. You know? In fact, another psychologist, well, here I go off into, let me stop here. My head is so full of stuff here. I'm trying to get to Dan. But it's about self-image. You know, what I'm doing here is getting to self-image. And my tailor-made perspective is from our point of view, okay, which is dark skin, broad nose, thick lips, furrowed hair. That's our point of view, an Afrocentric point of view. This is a story, an allegory about Scorpio and under the tribe of the Danites, which is the tribe of Dan. The tribe of Dan then is all the Scorpios, not just one. Okay, that's the important thing about understanding tribe, group. In reference to 30 degrees, and those born at this particular time of month and day in any given year. Okay. In those days, now listen to the language, because this is where the keys come from in appreciating the allegorical story form of a symbolic representation of truth or knowledge. In those days, there was no king of Israel. There was no power or authority over the human body of the 12 signs of the 12 sons of Israel, is what that means. Okay? In other words, there was no divinity. There was no Godhead, is what king, queen makes reference to. And in those days, the tribe of Danites was seeking an inheritance for themselves to live in. this takes us inside, okay, where the physiological, biological energy functionability is. The signs are in reference to inside of us, not outside, okay? Okay? Because each one of us has 30 degrees of Scorpio in our nature, okay? All right. So we're not just talking about one sign, we're talking about that one sign in the 360 degrees. I won't stop and do that each time. For them, for themselves to live in. For until that day, an inheritance had not been allotted to them as a possession among the tribes of Israel. So the sons of Dan sent from their family 5 men out of their whole number. How many senses do we have? 5 senses. In other words, all the senses are in search of a place of inheritance, a place to be, to function, to gain something from. Okay? Now this is a little story form about the inside. Now we'll get to the inside when we get to Revelation to show that the whole key is based on being able to look from inside out rather than outside in. Okay? But I wanted to start here. Valiant men, brave men. One of the aspects of the 30 degrees of Scorpio is great courage, very courageous personality. Valiant men from Zorah and Eshtaol. Now here's where this book comes in handy. Give me a reader here. Now you. Yeah, don't hand it back. You can't read? Oh, all right. Yeah, have somebody that would like to. Okay. Always appreciate that. All right. Turn to page 704, Zorah. Now, I'm gonna do this because I want you to appreciate this allegorical detail that becomes so specific when you pull back the veil to the language of symbology, which is what allegory is. Okay, first read the meaning of Zor, then read the metaphysical definition. Yeah, just that first 2 lines, because I want to read all this stuff. Yeah, out loud, good and loud. Okay, now read you'll see abbreviation META, metaphysical, an abbreviation there of Zor. Okay, now where is it in mind? It is where in the mind? In the subconscious. Yeah. In what part of the land? Lowland. Lowland. Okay, this is where Scorpio governs, down here. Okay. All right, okay, let's stop there. Now, turn to page, I didn't do Esco, did I? No, I didn't. Okay. Let's leave that one go then. We want to get you down where Scorpio is in, can't see it from here. I need that other pictographic of the physical body. This is the area where Scorpio has the greatest physiological definitive or definition in the genital or sexual area at Scorpio's dominion or domain of functionability. Okay, let me go on here. Now, valiant men from Zorah and Eshtaol to spy out the land and to search it. And they said to them, go search the land. And they came to the hill country of Ephraim to the house of Micah. Okay? Let's see, where we got here from Micah. Page 448. Turn to page 448. Micah. The house of Micah. 448. See it yet? Okay, read. No. Micah is on page 448, up at near the top of the page to your left. Who is like unto Jehovah, who has assimilate Jah. Read that first. See it up at the top there? Right after you read American Version, 1 Chronicles, so forth. Okay, yeah. Okay, now, okay. Micah and is the prefix of Michael, okay, which means likened unto God. The house of Micah is the concept we're dealing with. They're going into this territory called the house of Micah. House, temple, synagogue is the body. All that means the physical body. Okay? That's the house. Your body is the house of God. Okay? If it's filled with negative stuff, then it is the synagogue of Satan. Okay? All right, go on. A man in the hill country of Ephraim. Okay, very good. Now go down to the metaphysical. Okay, now this is where they are traveling, okay? This is where they are searching out. Okay, in that part of the house of Mecca, which is the head, or Mecca, either way you want to know. All right, let's go on with the story here. They recognized the voice of the young man, the Levites. And the Levites were who? Minister? The tribe of Levi were what? Yes, you do. They were priests. They were priests. All right? They were the priestly tribe, the Levites. Priest means subjective consciousness of intuition. Subjective consciousness of intuition. In other words, the intuitive insight from the subconscious mind, not the intuitive insight from the supraconscious mind. The priest deals with ritual, ceremony, moral, does not deal with spiritual power. That isn't and wasn't their job then. That's the old priesthood. In other words, the faculty of your subconscious can and does guide us in things moral, what is right and what is wrong, in ritual, what we love, honor, and respect. Each one of us has this faculty in our brain. Before we get the third eye open, the eye of God open. We already have them in the natural human process. We're talking about the old man, the astrological man, who is evolving. That's what Genesis to Revelation is all about, the evolution of the soul. Not 12 souls. There's a certain number of souls in the cosmogony of this planet. We're talking about the 12 signs that all the souls come down here in. That make the 12 foundation personalities that we all are. Okay. I know this is a bit boring, but I wanted to get some specifics in here so that you grasp this allegorical underlying level of knowledge first. Then we're going to jump over to Revelations and hit some high pieces there. Yes. I think not. In fact, they probably are still saying at ITC that astrology belongs to the devil. Okay. Okay. And one of the major things again is having the knowledge of words, particularly of names. While I'm talking here, look up the word Abraxas, the name Abraxas in the A. Turn to the A, front of the book, and look up the name Abraxas, A-B. I think it's A-B-B-R-A, B-R-A-X, B-R-A-X-A-S, Abraxas. Yes, yeah, that's true. No, the lead way is you inquiring, questioning, asking. That's fine. That means you're growing. Well, I said that's fine. That means you're growing. God is not a religion. I understand exactly what you're saying. What I want you to understand that is not an important thing. It shook you loose from that which was bounding you over at that place. I know you're not because you haven't opened up where you're going yet. But when you do, you'll be glad you outgrew those shoes. And when you outgrow them, if you don't leave, your spirit will throw you out. Or keep making you miss Sunday service by keeping you asleep. And you wake up, oh, Lord, damn, it's 3:30. You're supposed to leave at 11, you know. We're supposed to grow. Okay? Unfold. Grow up. This way is up. And when you get to that point, something inside starts disturbing your world. So it doesn't remain the same little place it was before. It just won't. If it does, you ain't got God. God is not stagnant water. Okay, read that for us. Abraxas, A-B-B. I should have, yeah. I want you to read that because in reference to what this brother just said about the Institute of Theology, is that ITA? Yeah, I had it marked in mine. I should have brought mine. I think it's 2B. I had it marked in mine. Just keep going through the A-B section there. It's there. I know it is because I marked it. If you go real fast, you might go right past it. A-B, A-B-R or A-B-A? Okay. Just kind of keep flicking through those pages and look at every one. It isn't a big section. It's a little small section. Let me get on here with this here. Because I'm trying not to be boring and dull. I hate that. I don't like to sit and listen. Nobody running their mouth and ain't saying nothing. Okay, so they're on their way down into Micah. When they were near the house of Micah, they recognized the voice of the young Levite. And they turned aside there and said to him, "Who brought you here? And what are you doing in this place? And what do you have here?" And he said to them, "Thus so has Micah done to me, and he has hired me, and I have become his priest." This voice, when we use this faculty, it becomes our guide, our advisor for our sense of what's right and what's wrong in terms of direction. That's what the priesthood is supposed to represent outside of it. Remember, the Danites are on a journey. Okay? Not Dan, the Danites, which means all of those under the 30 degrees are on a journey, and we all are on a journey. And they said to him, "Inquire of God, please, that we may know whether our way on which we are going will be prosperous." And the priest said to them, "Go in peace. Your way in which you are going has the Lord's approval." The inner guide. Now, what I should have done to make this more sensible was to turn to Genesis chapter 49. Let's do that now for those that have a book with them. Genesis chapter 49. I'm trying to coordinate this here, and some of it's going to slip a loose there. We're talking about the 30 degrees of Scorpio there, Leo. Okay? And we're talking about Dan as the 30 degrees of Scorpio is represented by the 12 sons of Jacob. Chapter 49, verse 16. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a horned snake in the path, that bites the horse's heel, so that his rider falls backward. The sign just after Scorpio is what? Anybody know? All right, okay. Biteth at the horse's heel. Now, the peculiar significance of this symbology in chapter 49 is going from scorpion to serpent. But one needs to know that in the Latin, scorpius defines serpent. And then knowing what a serpent is, it is not a snake. Okay. The word snake means sneak. We're talking about a symbol of power. And we're talking about this area of the human anatomy. Okay? What is the most deadly thing about the scorpion? Right, it stings. Another very key. These are little keys. Now, I'm going to talk about some little subtle stuff that goes right past the reader's consciousness. Somebody just be reading this little stuff just goes, you know. And usually it won't make much sense. It'll be a mystery. Okay, so let me read that again. Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a horned snake in the path that bites the horse's heels so that his rider falls backward. Now, if the rider falls backward, what does he do? If I'm on a horse and something bites my horse's heel, the horse raises up. So what does that do for the rider? It raises him up. Doesn't it? All right. Okay, we'll tie that in just a minute. I want you to see, again, the allegorical pictographics of this written idea of story form again. Okay. All right. Now, I think what I'm going to do is jump us right over into Revelations. That's where we need to get. Y'all looking a bit perplexed, and I don't like to see that. I want to make sure I'm communicating here. Am I getting some of this through? Because what I want you to do is go back and read these chapters with the notes that you're taking now, and it will start to make more sense. Okay? That's why I keep encouraging everybody to study. I'm not here to try to give you a lecture. I'm giving you the keys to study with. And the central theme of this study is you. Man, know thyself, and to thine own self be true. Come all the way up here, Leo. Aquarius, come up here. You can hear. You fine? All right, okay. I don't like for y'all to be bashful now. Y'all among friends here. I love you. I honest to God love you. So, this ain't Reverend Biscuit. And this, thank you, darling. And this ain't Professor Anal Tension here. So you're among friends, so don't be scared of me. If I call on you, it's because I want to alert you, not to embarrass you. Okay? And my intent is to get your mental wheels going and to get out of the habit thinking you don't know. Okay? This science presupposes you know. The science of symbology presupposes you know, that you know, you soul, you self, you God knows. But you have to learn to trust your own God within you. Okay, let me get to Revelation chapter 8, I think is where I'm going to start here. And we're in this mystery book here, this book of symbology. And brother, you want to confound Reverend Biscuit, take him to chapter 1 of Revelation. And you're going to get daffed up in a long conversation. And every now and then, you might get one out of that group that may know something about it. Okay. Okay, let's start here with verse 7. Now, okay, let me do this, because I promised that I would mention this here. Okay, turn to Revelation chapter 5. So let's put this where it's supposed to be, not only in terms of revelations, but in terms of the knowledge of self, where it starts to work. Listen to this. And I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a book, written inside and on the back, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to break its seal? And no one in heaven or on the earth or under the earth was able to open the book or to look into it. And I began to weep greatly, because no one was found worthy to open the book or to look within. Now, let's go back to this first verse. And I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a book written inside and on the back. It immediately put the book inside and on the back with 7 seals. The 7 vertebrae, which are the candlesticks, and the 7 chakras, or nerve centers, of the vertebrae. Your spiritual centers are the 7 seals. Remember, this is New Testamenti and Old Testamenti. Okay? New body, new mind. Okay? Old body, old mind. Okay? That's the point of focus that will make the book of Revelations make sense. Otherwise, it will remain a mystery forever. And every time we have a hurricane, Reverend What's-Go runs and get the book of Revelation. You see what God is saying about the hurricane? No, it ain't about the hurricane. It ain't about the plate sliding. The world is not going to end that way. Okay. All right. Let me go on a little further here. Did I cover it? No, I didn't cover all of it. I'm trying to skip over this one section to get to the point I was just making here. Hold on just a second. Okay, let me see here. I lost my place here. Yeah, that's where that's where I started, but I wanted to clarify something important here concerning this little book. Let's see. I know I got it marked here. That's something. That's chapter 11. Okay. Revelation chapter 10, concerning that little book. Chapter 10 and verse 8. And the voice which I heard from heaven, I heard again speaking with me and saying, Go take the book which is open in the hand of the angel who stands on the sea and on the land. And I went to the angel, telling him to give me the little book. And he said to me, Take it and eat it, and it will make your stomach bitter, but in your mouth it will be sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. When I had eaten it, my stomach was made bitter. Okay. The eating of this little book is the symbolic representation of putting the knowledge inside. We eat knowledge mentally. This is eating, okay? And it is sweet, positive in our mouth, in our digesting of it. But when it hits the solar plexus, it gets bitter because it tears up the negative energy in the solar plexus. This is your wisdom center. And this is wisdom. Okay. The key is revelation is about the inner you, not about what's going on outside in the mountains and in the countries and these kings and the Pope being 666 and all that stuff. This whole book, these 22 chapters, is all about your human and divine nature and your unfolding spiritual process. That's what the book of Revelation is about. Okay. Now we can get to Revelation chapter 8 concerning Scorpio. Doesn't sound like I'm going to ever get there, huh? Okay. I'm dealing with, now, I ain't found no book that broke this down, okay? There's some books here that give you a little bit here and a little bit there. So I had to work on this here by myself. Okay. So it sounds like I'm uttering and stuttering here. It's me and my spirit doing this. Okay. There's a couple of books around on Revelation. One not in unity, but it's surface, stays on the superficial side instead of going deeper, just as Charles Fillmore, who is the founder of Unity, certain concepts in this book he just left alone. He didn't even put them in there to define them, which meant he was going to keep that knowledge for himself. But he would drop little hints every now and then in his dictionary and other literature about the book of Revelation. Okay, chapter 8, verse 7. And the first sound that came, hail and fire mixed with blood, and they were thrown to the earth. And a third of the earth was burned up, and a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up. And the second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood, and a third of the creatures who were in the sea and had life died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. Let me read on a little further because I'm going to work my way back here. And the third angel sounded, and a great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch. And it fell on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And a third of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the waters because they were made bitter. Okay, you got that? Okay, now I want you to read verse 10 and 11. Yeah.
And the third angel sounded, there fell a great star, burning in the world, and it fell on the third part of the river, and all the houses of the water. The name of the star is called Wormwood. The third part of the water was Wormwood. Many men died of the water.
Okay, now read that last one. And many men died.
And many men died of the water. They were made.
Okay, thank you. The prepositions change the context. This is a new translation. That's the old translation. I want to show you that in 2 or 3 of these verses here. Okay, let me get to keep the wormwood and star in mind there. I'll get right back there to you. Okay, we're going to go to chapter 9 here, where I really wanted to start. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star from heaven which had fallen to the earth, and the key of the bottomless pit was given to him, and he opened the bottomless pit. The first part of this verse tells you that this particular chapter itself, what you're about to read, is the key to the bottomless pit. Key means insight, information, meaning, definition. Does not mean a key, okay? Mental key. The one that is receiving the key is the one reading the book, okay? That the key is right in front of you and you're about to open it. If you have the knowledge again of symbology. Okay, I want to focus you there, that it's not talking about somebody back in the past. It's talking to and about the person reading the book. Okay, let's read it again. And I saw a star from heaven which had fallen to the earth, and the key of the bottomless pit was given to him. And he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke went up out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by the smoke of the pit. Okay, the bottomless pit, what part of our nature has and cannot and is never satisfied? No, we can get satisfied. No, we get sexual. All of it. Your appetite. We are never fully appeased. We always crave, want, desire something 24/7. There is no end to our craving, our yearning. It is a bottomless pit. Okay? Now keep in mind, we're talking symbology here, not about somebody, something. We're talking about our nature and the problem of our nature. That we are ransacked by our own cravings, our own desires, our own passions, our own lusts. Okay? If you want to know who the enemy is, we get ready to talk. This is the most important sign of the zodiac in terms of getting yourself out of the human fix. Okay? This is the one that will unlock the door, will keep you down in the pit forever. Okay? By ever, I mean throughout this lifetime. Let's go on here, because it gets more symbolic as it goes on. Keep in mind that earth means body. The physical body is the same context as the physical earth. Every element in this earth is in our bodies. There is no difference, except we can move this earth around. We can't move the other. Okay. And out of the smoke came forth locusts. All right, let me get here, because I want you to see this. These are very subtle symbols. If you look at that word, I'm going to get back to it in a minute. Okay. Does anybody know how big a locust is? Give me a. Right. Very small. Not really. Most of them are not that big. Give me another name for locust. Thank you. Okay. Now, okay, this is what we're talking about. Now listen to the rest of this symbological representation here. And out of the smoke came locusts upon the earth, and power was given them as the scorpions of the earth have power. And they were told that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, nor any green thing, nor any tree, but only the men who do not have the seal of God on their forehead. What do locusts eat? Everything we just mentioned here, right? Okay. It eats grass, it eats green leaves, and stuff from trees. Okay, that's its food. Now, so that we know we're not talking about a locust. The reason I'm being so detailed here, keep putting lines up under these little words, okay? it's not talking about a locust. Okay. If it's talking about a locust, then it wouldn't tell it not to eat up everything that's green, because that's what it does. There's in Joel chapter 2, there's a depiction again of locusts that was sent as a plague, where they eat up all the wheat and the barley and the corn and the grass and so forth. That's what locusts do in mass. So again, we know we're talking about a symbol. Now listen to this. They should not hurt, so forth and so forth. Verse 5. And they were not permitted to kill anyone, but to torment for 5 months. And their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it stings a man. And in those days men will seek death. They will not find it. And they will long to die, and death flees from them. And the appearance of the locusts was like horses prepared for battle, and on their heads, as it were, crowns like gold, and their faces were like the faces of men, and they had hair like the hair of women, and they had teeth, and their teeth were like the teeth of lions. That's a hell of a locust. If you keep the image and try to build this monstrous figure, it becomes a frightening ordeal. I can see why a lot of fundamentalists don't read Revelation very much. It isn't very inspiring.